Yo, what's up guys, BobVD7 King here, and today we will be recapping episode 18 of this Venture Camp, which was honestly a very straightforward episode, but still fun nonetheless due to its cast. Although it's probably my least favorite episode of the merge, but I think it's mainly just because my favorite character got voted out here. But I do also understand the fact that we don't need chaotic votes all the time, so yeah, it's a mixed bag overall, but let's just get straight into it. We start off the episode with the Girls Alliance arguing about the vote, where Isabel and Jade feel left out, while Anastasia does a really poor job at managing them, with Marissa also trying to play mediator, with Sid also failing, until Hannah ends the conversation mentioning the Benji vote, with Isabel and Jade just being silenced. Next day we see Anastasia and Marissa talking about how Marissa decided to not be in the military, and Marissa mentions the fact that Anastasia lied about not having feelings for anyone, with Anastasia just mentioning how all the relationships this season have failed, and that Marissa is just way too important to lose. Marissa just laughs it off and kisses on the cheek, but also says the same thing, that she's also way too important to lose, and these two are so cute together. Spencer tries talking to Jade, with it ending up in an argument, saying how the two lack trust, and while that is true at this point of the season, I feel like this could have been easily avoided. Again, I've been defending Spencer, but if he genuinely cared about Jade, he wouldn't mention the fact that all the girls were sabotaging him during the Richard round, leading to Jade defending the fact, saying that she didn't know about that, and then maybe the two could have reconciled. But obviously, it was dead to begin with at this point, but still, they could have solved it out, but yeah, the two officially part ways. Spencer also tries talking to Logan, with the latter at this point being completely fed up with Spencer, and to me this still makes no sense. Again, the only way I see for Logan to be this mad at Spencer still is the fact that Spencer leaked the information to the girls, but Logan just keeps saying how Spencer used him in the game, which how? Again, that's not really using someone. And also overall, Spencer just didn't use Logan. Again, not to mention, if Spencer didn't do what he did, he would have been voted off. And honestly, I just don't think Logan would have liked the outcome either way, to be honest. Again, so I think realistically Logan handles this poorly. Again, and to make things worse, Logan decides to cut Spencer off, which is again a terrible gameplay move, as even if you don't trust Spencer at this point, again, you truly do not have that much options to work with. In the next scene though, we see Logan try to talk to Anastasia and Marissa to make a Finals 3 alliance, with Anna being receptive to this, and Marissa still being a little bit hesitant about it once Logan leaves the conversation, but Anna says that it's better for their game if they do have Logan in the game, so yeah. And this is my favorite part of the episode, honestly, with Zayd trying to talk to Amelie and Hannah about if Anastasia is avoiding him for Marissa, which one, you kind of already know the answer, and two, why not just talk to Anna yourself? Again, if this goes back to Anastasia, which it likely does, I mean, thankfully it doesn't, again, it would just lead to Anastasia just not trusting you in the future. And Hannah does tell Zayd that yes, and Zayd mentions how he thought Anastasia was a real one, and Hannah mentions how Benji thought that Zayd was the real one as well, but he took him out and couldn't even look him in the eye. And that leads to Zayd mentioning the Ivy vote, and Hannah says that it was a game that they all signed up for it, and just to deal with it. And which, honestly, I'm loving this Hannah and Zayd rivalry. Again, while they didn't interact too much on the red team, it does feel like there's always tension, or at least unintentional tension with these two. Again, obviously with how Ivy treated Benji earlier on in the season, and it probably made Hannah view Ivy and Zayd as kind of like dicks on the season, honestly. Again, not to mention how Hannah knows that Ivy threw the challenge, leading her to think that Zayd probably knew as well, and was just doing it less openly. And even after the fact where Ivy goes and Zayd has no one, Hannah is still targeting him in the game, to where I feel like this rivalry seems to be building up, and I'm rooting for both characters, mostly Zayd since he's my guy. And while Hannah is hot and I'm loving the villain era that she's in since the Benji vote out, since now she's finally becoming more cutthroat in the game, I gotta go with my brother Zayd here. We later cut to the next scene with Logan and Zayd trying to find each other, and once they do run to each other, they both point at each other like the Spider-Man meme, and they both say that they need to talk to each other, and the two decide to make a final two alliance, which honestly for the game does make sense here. Am I rooting for this duo personally? I don't know. I mean, I'm rooting for Zayd, I guess, but I'm not really rooting for Logan at this point. And while Logan does have a fine episode here, again, I'm just not really rooting for Logan in the slightest. Anyways, we figure out that the challenge is the auction, which is obviously reminiscent to Survivor, and to be honest, I'm a big fan of the auction, but I'm not really a big fan of how they handled it here. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the fact that they can't share food, but I'm not a big fan of the fact that they can share money, as this obviously could just lead to the majority ganging up on the minority, and we pretty much see this happen. Again, Spencer is pretty much screwed from the get-go, and with there being no chance that anyone shares money with him, as obviously he's burned too many bridges, and that would also just paint a massive target on their back here. Also for the challenge, we do have Emily and Trevor instead of Trevor and Derek, and Isabel says only if Natalia were here, which Anastasia just rolls her eyes, and just overall, I'm very excited that Emily's here. Obviously, I'm a big Emily and Trevor shipper, and I do think they have cute moments in this episode, and later on we do see Emily get to read the votes as well, and I'm just very excited for this potential love triangle that seems to be happening. Again, because I don't know where Derek is, or if he's going to be hosting the, like, recaps, or not recaps, the exit eliminations for the contestants, but yeah, I'm just very excited to see more of Emily, to be honest, because, whew. Anyways, I won't be recapping every single auction bid, as some are just not as interesting as others, but we do get a fun Isabel moment where she shoves Trevor and downs some margarita. Jade gets to steal a vote advantage, and despite not liking him, Logan does have a very funny moment teasing Amelie when he wins the spaghetti and wine, but the main heart puller is where Zayd, Logan, and Marissa are bidding for the video at home, and Marissa just yells, "Just let me fucking have it." And honestly, this line delivery is amazing. Whoever voices Marissa did incredible and killed this performance, because wow, this scene was really emotional, and seeing Marissa so happy and to see her mom was really heartwarming for me. But anyways, we do end the challenge with Hannah winning immunity because Amelie gave her some money, and this is why I hate the idea of people sharing money, because if they know that there's an advantage at hand, this pretty much limits the chances of anyone in the minority getting anything good. So yeah, this sucks. And while people like Isabel try to flip the game on Anastasia, it was just never going to work without Amelie, Hannah, and Jade at this point, as they are very clearly anti-Spencer at this point. Spencer does convince the guys to vote for Jade, which the guys end up doing, which while I do understand voting to keep Spencer on one end, this is a move that I personally wouldn't make, as you're essentially just digging your hole even deeper with the girls, specifically with Zayd burning his tie with Anastasia. Anyway, Spencer does get voted off here in a 6-3 vote off, with this being an extreme shock to me, despite it being obvious that Spencer was this antagonist figure on the cast, and I thought that he could squeeze in for like a few more episodes. But before I talk about Spencer overall as a character, his send-off was him and Jade shaking hands and him and Logan hugging it out was honestly really sweet, but obviously the big one is Hannah rubbing it in, which I know a lot of people were pissed off by this, but for me personally it just didn't. Again, one, I think it's a good point to point out that Hannah is extremely young, and I think that just shows off her immaturity. Two, Spencer was literally the cause of the votes of an Amelie, Diego, and Tristan in her eyes, and literally he caused all of her best friends to go home, so I think it is a fair, it's a fair crash out in my opinion. And three, it's just a game, and I would personally have the same reaction, and probably a lot worse since I'm a sore winner, so yeah, but we do lose Spencer here, which sucks, as I really love Spencer as a character, probably being my favorite character of the entire cast so far, and I think his backstory is very interesting, being in a very toxic relationship, and just not knowing how to commit, as we saw with Diego, and it made for an interesting storyline for the show. Do I ship them? Honestly, no, but just because I don't ship them, it doesn't mean they're bad. I just think where they left off and giving each other closure is probably for the best. His dynamic with Jade was a lot of fun to watch just because it was so rocky. I wanted them to be friends so badly, and while they did make up, I kind of doubt they're going to be friends, just because it seemed like in the game at least they never viewed each other as such, so yeah, they're sad. I won't touch too much on him and Logan, as I think Logan is really annoying, but I do think Logan was a necessary character to Spencer's arc, being the only character that truly gave him his friendship and his game as well. I also love his banter with characters like Hannah, Natalia, and Linda as well, and I don't care what you guys say, and I doubt anyone's going to make it this far into the video, but Spencer and Ivy are endgame, and I will list my 500 reasons why right now.
You guys are Nazis, man! You're freaking Nazis!
Anyways, yeah, okay, Spencer was a very fun villain for the show, just because he did play up the villain role to the entire cast, when you can tell that he's a very emotional person, and I relate to that since I don't really like being vulnerable in my day-to-day life. Again, the scene where he asked Jade if she would vote for him during his first boot round, and his eyes got really teary, made me feel so bad for him, and as you can tell, like, he's just been hurt before, and I know it's a cartoon character, but again, he's a cartoon character that I've become emotionally attached to, so yeah, they're sad. Again, just seeing Spencer reflect, and unlike Jake try to fix what he's broken, is actually a really good arc for him, and I found Spencer's character just to be really funny. Again, it was him calling Ivy a lass, him poking fun at Zayd for being nervous to kiss Ivy, and him just being such a prick to most of the cast, successfully rage baiting them, and it was just really fun to watch. Again, I think the Spencer hate is just kind of ridiculous, to be honest, and again, with Twitter calling him a misogynist, which, I mean, again, I guess I could see the argument at least, because most of his rivalries were with women, but again, we clearly see he has no issue attacking most of the men or just undermining them. We just didn't really get a chance to see much of that, especially on this season, a season that has literally gender wars, so, Yeah, I don't know where people were going with that. Another dumb reason is the fact that he was hogging up too much thumbnails, but just like, okay, I hope you guys are happy for the next few Logan thumbnails, which is going to be terrible, but whatever. I mean, yeah, Twitter stands are kind of weird when it comes to Spencer. But yeah, tangent aside, you know, the only thing I don't really like about Spencer is the fact that he looks like a classmate that I had who beats women, so yeah, let's just move on to the winner picks. Overall, is Isabel still my winner pick, or have I changed my mind? And unfortunately, yeah, I have to switch at this point in time. Isabel has been a fun character, but at this point in the season, I just don't see her winning. And I think I have to change to Zayd, since he has a strong underdog story. And while I can see why people think Logan will win out of the two men, I just don't think they'll let Logan win, because his win won't really mean anything. Logan outside the show is very successful, while Zayd isn't. Logan is immature and annoying, while Zayd isn't. Zayd this episode has been building his own path, and I'm very excited to see where this goes, because I feel like it will be a win that I wanted from a winner like Wayne, like a underdog to the top winner, but obviously, I think Zayd is a much better character than Wayne, so I think Zayd's story arc will be a lot better in general, so yeah. But that is the episode recap and analysis. A lot of words to say, but overall, I'm very happy with how this season is going. I think this is still the best season of the show. And just because my favorite is gone now, doesn't mean I'm not loving everyone else minus Logan. But that is the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far, I mean, yeah, peace out. I love you guys. We are almost at 2,000 subscribers, which is kind of crazy, and yeah, I'm not really sure what I'll do if I do hit 2,000 subscribers. Maybe I'll do another Q&A, but again, that's really far into the future. So yeah, peace out. Love you guys.